love these pictures because they give you a little bit of context of what else is going on. And you alluded to it. You can see the new housing developments surrounding this area. This is a big development opportunity for the city of Oceanside. This is hundreds and hundreds of acres of new green space that is being redeveloped into arenas, housing, as well as providing commercial space for life science. This was part of a project that I think the original land use conditional land use permits were filed and applied for back in 2018, 2019 timeframe as part of the development of the entire region. And so we got involved in, I think it was 2021, was with the development owner as they were sort of planning out the feasibility of the site. And I'd say the big driving factor wasn't necessarily the economics or even the environmental. So like those two big things didn't apply quite yet on this project because it didn't exist. They had some sample information from other similar facilities, and that's how they kind of said, okay, this is what we think the size needs to be. This is what we think we want out of a battery storage project. But it was sort of hey, I guess we're going to see after it gets installed and kind of go from there, and we hope we're good. This was definitely more of a sustainability play as part of the CEQA process for this county of San Diego and the city of Oceanside to sort of move the city forward in terms of achieving their sustainability. And I don't want to say net zero, that's not the right term to use, but you can definitely hear that kind of tossed around in this industry a little bit, misappropriated to true net zero. But that was sort of a driving factor, was if we're going to spend this much money, we're going to bring this much development into this area, how can we make sure that there isn't an adverse environmental impact as a result of the traffic, the people, the congestion, and the energy usage.
In the feasibility studies that we're doing a lot of, we are doing new buildings, and Nick mentioned this actually too. So they had some other similar buildings that sound like that they were looking at and being able to use some comparative analysis, I guess you would say, in that situation. And so that's what we are very often doing. We're using synthetic load profiles to estimate what the load is with a building like this. Exactly what you just described was there the day we were filming. It was, we showed up at 10 in the morning and there were all of 3 people in the entire building. And, by the time we're leaving, there's a state championship basketball game going on or something like that. And so the profile is changing over the day. And so if you can have a synthetic load profile, that's great. Another thing that we have done is, working on new builds, working with electrical engineers. They have an idea of what is happening. They just may not know the exact timing. And so trying to work with the building engineers, working with the building owners, the occupants, understanding how that building actually gets used is an important aspect of it. And that would be typically our approach on how to tackle that problem on a new building.
Net billing tariff has changed where in an M2 world, you could pretty much size a project for 100 to 120% offset of annual energy usage. A customer would have a really good little bump in the middle of the day where they're sending their power out onto the grid for not quite retail rates, but they're getting a good return on that investment. And then you could see a full solar project maybe pay for themselves in 3 to 4 years. Now that same number, that same site, because they're not getting those exports, that if you would put the same exact size system on there, maybe that goes to 7, 8, 9, 10 years on that payback time frame. So you make the system smaller, right? You don't need all these exports. Let's make it smaller. Okay, let's change the inverter profile. Let's change the inverter setup. So we're gonna flatten that curve a little bit instead of make it so peaky. How do we get more energy at the beginning of the day and the end of the day? And then, oh, hold on, let me take a look at this. What kind of battery can I fit out there? It's the analysis, you could call it analysis paralysis you do at the beginning of these projects, just to figure out what am I going to recommend to this customer, can be very, very deep. Whereas in December of 2022, it was, what do you use? Okay, 100, 120%, go. You be in great shape.
that image that's on the top there is a great one to visualize, where we have some number of battery cabinets, and because of the space limitations Nick was talking about, we there's physically just so much space we could install these in. And so using 9540A test data to show that when there is thermal runaway within each of those cabinets, how does it affect the cabinet next to it? And that's the data that we get from the manufacturers. We present that to the AHJ in order for them to feel comfortable with, yeah, you can put those closer together, and there are provisions for that in code. So that's kind of the short answer on how to put those units closer together. Of course, there's a lot more to it, interpreting the data and all that, but that is kind of the short answer on that one.